The Prometheus engine had been built to change the world. Instead, it was destroying careers. Deep in the heart of Silicon Valley, inside Thorne Industries' Innovation Lab, a cathedral of glass, steel, and ambition, the future of energy was unraveling one failed test at a time. The Prometheus engine, a $2 billion machine designed to power entire cities with clean, limitless energy, could not stay alive for more than 90 seconds. Not 91, not 92, exactly 90. After that, it always died. The engine sat on a raised pedestal at the center of the lab, its polished chrome body gleaming beneath 40-foot windows that flooded the space with cold California sunlight. It looked flawless, perfect, untouchable, and useless. For 6 brutal weeks, the brightest engineers' money could buy had lived in that lab. Men and women with PhDs from Caltech, MIT, Stanford, quantum physicists, systems architects, materials scientists flown in from Europe. They rewrote millions of lines of code, replaced every circuit, recalibrated every sensor, and dismantled the engine piece by piece, only to rebuild it again. Nothing worked. Every test ended the same way. At exactly 90 seconds, the Prometheus engine shuddered, released a high, tortured whine, and shut itself down with a final, mocking click. Cascade resonance failure. The error message blinked calmly on every screen, as if it weren't costing millions of dollars an hour. Harrison Thorne stood pacing across the gleaming white floor, his expensive leather shoes echoing like a countdown. At 55, he had the sharp eyes of a predator and the controlled fury of a man unaccustomed to losing. He had built Thorne Industries from nothing, crushed competitors, bent markets, reshaped governments. His tailored suits cost more than most of his employees' cars. But this machine, this silent, defiant monument, would not obey him. Another failed test ended. The lab fell into a suffocating silence. Dr. Miles. Harrison's voice was quiet. Too quiet. Dr. Alan Miles, the lead engineer, a Caltech graduate with sleepless eyes and a mortgage the size of a small nation's debt, straightened instinctively. Yes, sir. Harrison stopped pacing and turned slowly toward him. So, Harrison said, gesturing casually at the dead engine, after 6 weeks and $20 million in overtime, you're telling me you have absolutely no idea what's wrong. It wasn't a question. Dr. Miles swallowed. The resonance builds exponentially. The feedback loop is instantaneous. We can't locate the source. It doesn't behave like any known failure pattern. Harrison's jaw tightened. So you rewritten the software, replaced the hardware, consulted a quantum physicist from Switzerland, and you're still guessing. We are exploring new avenues. New avenues? Harrison snapped, his voice rising and echoing through the lab. Should I bring in a psychic next? Sacrifice a goat to the gods of engineering? The engineers flinched. This engine is the keystone of the Apex project, Harrison continued, fury spilling over. The Department of Defense is watching. I have generals and senators calling me every day, and I'm supposed to tell them my world-class team has been defeated by a very expensive toaster. He raked a hand through his perfectly styled silver hair. Then his gaze shifted. In the far corner of the lab, almost invisible among the machines, a woman in a simple blue uniform quietly wiped down a stainless steel console. She moved carefully, methodically, trying not to exist. Her name was Amelia Hayes. For 2 years, she had cleaned the laboratories at Thorne Industries. She emptied trash cans, mopped coffee spills, and overheard conversations about technologies she barely understood. In this world of billionaires and geniuses, she was a ghost, but her real world was much harsher. Amelia was a single mother. Chemotherapy bills piled up on her kitchen table. Copays, deductibles, treatments that drained her strength and her savings. She worked extra shifts because she had no choice. That night, she was only there for the overtime. Harrison's frustration, having nowhere left to land, found a new target. You, he barked. Amelia froze. Every head turned toward her. What's your name? She swallowed hard. Amelia, sir. Amelia Hayes. Harrison walked toward her slowly, his shoes clicking against the floor like judgment. He stopped inches from her, forcing her to look up. Amelia, he said smoothly. You've been in this lab every night. You've heard these geniuses talk themselves in circles. Surely you have an opinion. Her cheeks burned. I wouldn't know anything about that, sir. I just clean. Of course you do, Harrison replied with a thin smile. But let's pretend. Let's pretend you're not just a maid. He turned to his engineers. Maybe we've been overthinking it. Maybe we don't need PhDs. Maybe we just need a fresh perspective. A few nervous snickers rippled through the room. Tell me, Dr. Miles, Harrison continued, savoring the moment. Should we let the cleaning lady take a crack at it? Amelia felt herself shrinking under the weight of their eyes. That's ridiculous, she whispered. Harrison's smile widened. What's ridiculous is spending $20 million to learn nothing. He leaned closer. I'll make you a deal, Amelia. He straightened, voice booming. Fix the engine, and I'll give you $100 million. The room gasped. Harrison wasn't done. If you fail, you're fired. Not just from here, from every Thorne Industries facility. And I'll make sure no cleaning service in the city ever hires you again. Amelia's heart slammed against her ribs. I can't, she stammered. Of course you can't, Harrison said dismissively. Now get back to work. He turned away. Then a small voice cut through the room. My mommy can't, it said calmly, but I can. The lab froze. Standing in the doorway was a little girl, no more than 10 years old. Blonde hair pulled into a simple ponytail. A worn pink jacket. A battered teddy bear tucked under one arm. Chloe Hayes, Amelia's daughter. Harrison turned slowly. Then he laughed. Loud. Booming. Cool. This keeps getting better, he said. First a maid, now her child. What is this, a comedy show? Chloe stepped forward, unafraid. No, sir, she said quietly. I'm going to listen to it. The laughter died, and for the first time that day, Harrison Thorne didn't know what to say. The lab was silent, not the awkward silence of embarrassment, but the charged stillness that comes before something irreversible happens. Harrison Thorne stared at the little girl standing near the doorway as if she were a glitch in reality itself. You're going to listen to it? He repeated slowly. Chloe nodded, hugging her teddy bear tighter. Yes, sir. Amelia rushed forward. Panic flooded her face. Mr. Thorne, I'm so sorry. She shouldn't be here. Please don't. Harrison raised a hand, stopping her mid-sentence. His eyes never left Chloe. No, he said. Let her speak. He crouched slightly to bring himself closer to her level. And how exactly do you plan on doing that? Chloe looked past him, toward the towering engine at the center of the room. Its metal shell reflected her small figure like a distorted mirror. Machines talk, she said simply. Most people just don't hear them. A few engineers exchanged glances. One of them scoffed quietly. Harrison straightened and sighed. Fine. This has already been a disaster. What's one more minute of nonsense? He waved his hand. Dr. Miles powered up. Give the child her moment. Dr. Miles hesitated. Sir, do it. Reluctantly, the lead engineer nodded. Fingers flew across the console. The lab lights dimmed slightly as power surged. The Prometheus engine came alive. A low hum filled the air, vibrating to the floor, the walls, the bones of everyone standing there. Rings of light pulsed along the engine's core, cycling through shades of blue and white. Chloe stepped closer. Amelia reached out instinctively. Chloe, sweetheart. I'm okay, Mom, Chloe said without looking back. She closed her eyes. 10 seconds passed. 20. The hum deepened, layering into something more complex. The engineers watched the monitors, already expecting the familiar climb toward failure. Chloe tilted her head. There, she said softly. Dr. Miles frowned. There what? It's sad, Chloe replied. It's trying too hard to stay the same. Harrison's patience snapped. This is absurd. Shut it down. No, Chloe said, suddenly louder. Her eyes flew open. Don't stop it. The timer hit 70 seconds. The engineer stiffened. Chloe pressed her small palm against the cool metal casing. It's fighting itself, she murmured. like when you tell someone to run and freeze at the same time. Dr. Miles's breath caught. That's not possible. It is, Chloe said. You're telling it to be stable and adaptive at once. The room erupted. That's contradictory, one engineer whispered. The adaptive dampeners. Another began. They're overriding the stabilization loop. Dr. Miles finished, his face draining of color. Harrison turned sharply. Explain. Now. Dr. Miles stared at the screen, fingers shaking as he pulled up a deep-layer diagnostic. We designed the engine to self-correct in real time, he said slowly. But we also locked its core frequency to prevent drift. When it adapts, it violates its own constraints. Like pulling both ends of a rope, Chloe said. The timer hit 85 seconds. Disable the hard lock, Harrison barked. We can't, an engineer said. It's fundamental to the design. Chloe shook her head. You don't remove it. You teach it when to let go. She pointed to the screen. There, that rule shouldn't always be on. Dr. Miles's eyes widened. She's right, he whispered. The lock doesn't need to be constant. It can be conditional. Do it, Harrison snapped. Keys clattered. Code rewrote itself in real time. Sweat dripped down foreheads. 89 seconds. The familiar whine began to rise. Amelia squeezed her hands together, barely breathing. 90 seconds passed. Nothing happened. The engine kept running. The hum smooth deepened. Steady and calm, the light stabilized into a soft, even glow. The Prometheus engine did not shut down. For the first time in 6 weeks, it lived. The lab exploded into chaos. Engineers shouted, laughed, stared in disbelief. Some collapsed into chairs. One wiped tears from his eyes. Dr. Miles turned slowly toward Chloe, his voice breaking. You just solved a problem we couldn't crack with 40 people in 6 weeks. Chloe shrugged. You were listening with your eyes. I listened with my ears. Harrison Thorne said nothing. He stood perfectly still, staring at the engine, then at the child beside it. You said, he finally spoke, his voice low, that machines talk. Chloe nodded. And how did you learn to hear them? She looked up at him. From my dad. The name hit Harrison like a blow. Your father, he said carefully. Who was he? Amelia's voice was quiet. Steady. Daniel Hayes. The room seemed to tilt. Harrison's face drained of color. No, he whispered. That's not possible. Daniel Hayes had been Harrison Thorne's first partner, the real genius behind Thorne Industries' earliest breakthroughs, a man who believed technology should serve people, not control them, a man Harrison had pushed out, a man who had died broke, his designs buried, his name erased. You stole his work, Amelia continued softly. You took his patents. And when he got sick, you left him with nothing. Harrison's fists clenched. I didn't know, he said hoarsely. I didn't know about the child. He knew about you, Chloe said. He said you forgot how to listen. The words cut deeper than any accusation. Harrison looked around the lab, the engine, the people, the empire built on silence. Then he did something no one in that room had ever seen before. He knelt in front of the little girl. I made a bet, he said, and I don't break my word. He stood and turned to his legal team, set up a trust, $100 million, for Chloe Hayes, and reinstate Amelia immediately with full benefits. Amelia covered her mouth, tears streaming down her face. And the rest? Chloe asked. Harrison met her gaze. You changed the future. What else would you want? Chloe thought for a moment. Help people like my dad, she said. The ones you didn't listen to. Harrison nodded slowly. Done. The Prometheus engine continued to hum behind them, no longer fighting itself. Listening. At last.